So over the last couple of weeks, we've taken you through your picks when it comes to overrated Mercedes-Benz models. The links to those videos are down there somewhere. But look, enough of all this negativity. How about we now celebrate this much respected brand? Let's take you through your picks when it comes to underrated models. Now we say your picks because, well, you guys picked these. See, we trawled through Mercedes-Benz forums, owners' pages, YouTube comments. We spoke to Mercedes-Benz technicians and specialists, and the next 5 cars are apparently, according to you, the most underrated. Also, underrated doesn't mean the fastest or the most luxurious or even the best. It just simply means the Mercedes-Benz models that deserve far more credit and attention than they receive. So kicking things off, it's the 190E, but a couple of specific variants. The models we're referring to here are the 2.3 and 2.5 16s. And why? Well, look, if it wasn't for the 2.3, the sublime BMW E30 M3 may never have existed. And you know how BMW and Mercedes are constantly trying to outdo each other with horsepower figures these days? Well, we can thank the battle between the E30 M3 and the 2.3 16 for that. See, due to Audi's domination of rallying at the time and a bunch of other factors, Mercedes-Benz management basically forbid its 190E to go racing in any way, shape or form. But a bunch of engineers decided to ignore that email and, almost in spite of the bigwigs, fitted the Cosworth-tuned 16-valve engine and a host of other go-fast parts to the compact sedan and proceeded to win a whole bunch of races. BMW, they didn't like this at all, and they built the E30 M3 to beat the 2.3 16 190E and kicked off a war of the brands that still rages today, during which Mercedes-Benz increased the capacity from 2.3 litres to 2.5, improved reliability, and proceeded to continually make the little pocket rocket faster and faster, both through the subtle Evolution 1 and the wild and winged Evolution 2 models. But why is it underrated? Well, for this category of car, the spotlight is all too often hogged by the E30 M3. So much so, many don't even realise the 2.3 and 2.5 16s even exist. And thanks to this, E30 M3 prices are deep into the 6-figure realm. However, a 2.3 or 2.5 16 190E, granted not an Evolution model, and granted they are incredibly rare, can be yours for under $100,000. Not only is this thing an immensely underrated Mercedes-Benz, it's surely one of the all-time underrated performance cars out there. Okay, next up, it's the W124 500E. Produced from 1991 to 1994, the 500E is often called the world's most perfect sedan, yet many have either forgotten or didn't even know it existed in the first place. And that's a crime. Designed by an Italian, engineered by Porsche, the 500E borrows the 5-litre V8 from the R129 500 SL. Actually, that engine, with a couple of turbos bolted to it, won the 1989 Le Mans 24 Hours in the Sauber C9. It featured brakes, suspension, wider wheels and tyres to match the immense power plant and gorgeous pumped arches to fit those wider boots. It featured a host of, at the time, class-leading safety features, all the high-quality Mercedes-Benz interior accommodation you'd expect, and it was handcrafted from the very best Mercedes-Benz parts, predominantly by Porsche in the Porsche factory. As Jason Camissa in his truly brilliant 500E video states, the 500E was built at a time when Mercedes engineers outranked Mercedes accountants, and that meant that a Mercedes price would be based on what the car cost to engineer and then produce, not the other way around. Hence why the 500E cost an absolute fortune when brand new. But if you can find one these days, and yeah, that could be the challenge of the century, thanks to the 500E being almost a mystery to all but the most in-the-know Mercedes fans, many have swapped hands for well under $100,000. Guys, if you're a Mercedes-Benz fan and you haven't seen that Jason Camissa or Haggerty 500E video, please check it out because it is brilliant. Anyway, up next, it's the S-Class, but a very specific one. Spoiler alert, last week in our top 5 overrated Mercedes-Benz models part 2 video, the S-Class, it didn't fare so well, yet now you guys are suddenly singing its praises. What's going on? Well, the S-Class that you feel is the absolute standout is the 1992 to 1998 W140. The W140 represents the perfect balance of what the S-Class should be, and was the last S-Class seemingly designed with a best at all costs mentality rather than engineering and manufacturing to suit a price point. Visually, it epitomizes the S-Class. It is over-engineered to often ridiculous levels, and the build quality and attention to detail is second to none. It's even showing extra excellent reliability with many still running strong. It featured groundbreaking technology when new, and unlike many more modern S-classes, much of the W140's tech and features will most likely still work. Plus, it was available with a 6-litre V12, and here's a fun fact, that V12 went on to power these. A well cared for W140 is arguably a smarter used car choice than many of its more modern S-Class siblings. And with pricing generally topping out at under $50,000 here in Australia, keep a few $1,000s aside for maintenance and it offers so much luxury car for the money. Actually, if anybody out there has a W140 S-Class and you live in Sydney or Newcastle or somewhere close and you'd be happy for us to feature it, can you let us know in the comments or message us on Instagram, because we would love to feature one. Okay, next up, and again, thanks to you guys, we have a tie. Firstly, it's the G-Class or the G-Wagon, but it's not the one that's all the cashed up soccer mums and midlife crisis dads drive. As epic as the current G63 and even the older G63 and G55 are, they're hardly underrated or overrated. They're just simply rated. But thanks to these overt statements of affluence hogging all of the limelight, it's all too often forgotten that the vehicle that the AMG models are based on are supremely capable off-roaders with a long and rich heritage. Originally developed as a military off-roader and later offered as a civilian vehicle in 1979, the specific G-Wagon that you guys suggested is the 2017 and 2018 G300 Professional. Firstly, the Professional sold in a fraction of the numbers of the AMG models, making it far more exclusive. It's essentially the same hardcore off-roader that was built for defense forces all around the world, making it instantly cooler than the AMG models. And thanks to a host of off-roading specific features replacing the usual creature comforts and tech bestowed upon Mercedes models, there's less to go wrong and just more sheer ability on offer. Plus, with pricing starting from around about $120,000 and topping out at just over $170,000 here in Australia, it's miles more affordable than not only the AMG G-Wagons, but potentially lighter on the finances than many Toyota Land Cruiser alternatives. Okay, sure, it doesn't have Toyota's unparalleled support network, not to mention it doesn't quite match Toyota's reputation for reliability, but there's no denying there's not much cooler or tougher looking than a fully kitted out off-roading specific G-Wagon. Well, actually there is, which brings us to the vehicle that it tied with. It's the Unimog. You want the ultimate when it comes to off-roading dominance and expedition vehicles? Well, it pretty much has to be a Unimog. Like the G-Wagon, used by military forces all around the globe to transport everything from personnel to missile launchers, the Unimog comes in a wide variety of shapes and sizes to suit nearly any scenario. Its robust reliability and just sheer ability has been proven for decades, and when you see countless people spending tens of thousands of dollars on extreme lift kits, big wheel and tyre packages, underbody protection, winches, fold-out canopies, and full catalogues of off-roading accessories to make their Land Cruisers, Patrols and Wranglers more capable off-road and more livable in the wilderness, on top of the fact that these Land Cruisers, Patrols and Wranglers are all hovering around the $100,000 mark to begin with, maybe it would be smarter to drop similar money on a Unimog expedition vehicle for the adventuring and just buy a Corolla or a Mazda 3 for the day-to-day duties. And if you're the sort of person that buys and modifies an off-roader purely to drive around town to make yourself look all big and tough, nothing screams big and tough like a Unimog. Now, before we get to the top spot, guys, if you're enjoying this video and our content in general, can you please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already? And even if you have, can you please share our content with all of your mates? Because honestly, doing those simple things, it helps us out so much. Okay, taking it out, and I've got to say, I'm surprised at this. I was not expecting this car to make the list at all, let alone win it, but thanks to you guys, it's the SLK. Specifically, you guys voted the 2004 to 2011 R171 SLK 55 AMG into the top spot. And look, yeah, fair enough. Basically, what we have here, on paper at least, is the driving enthusiast's dream package. A small two-door convertible packing an AMG enhanced and tuned 5.5 litre V8, powering purely the rear wheels, and kept on the black stuff thanks to lowered and stiffened suspension, monster brakes, 18-inch wheels, and performance tyres. Think of what a Mazda MX-5 Miata or Honda S2000 would be like with an LS V8 engine swap, then up the levels of luxury and appointment substantially, and that's pretty much the SLK 55 AMG. But thanks to it maybe being a little convertible, or the fact that its bigger sibling C63 models hog all of the limelight, the SLK is all too often overlooked when it comes to celebrated AMG and Mercedes-Benz models. Probably hence why these are pretty affordable. Pricing kicks off here in Australia from around about $45,000. But be warned, these were produced during Mercedes' least favourable period, and the list of common issues are extensive, as are the costs involved in repairing them. But here's a hot tip: if your budget can't quite stretch to the AMG models, or you'd just rather have some spare cash left over to pay for the repairs, well, the SLK 350 is also worth a look. Many actually argue that an R171 SLK 350 with some quality aftermarket suspension, brakes, wheels and tyres, and a solid mechanical going over offers far more bang for your buck than even the SLK 55. And with SLK 350s kicking off from around about $12,000, they may have a point, but just be aware, remember, nothing is more expensive than a cheap Mercedes Benz. Does not mean the fastest or the most like and gorgeous pump. And that meant that a Mercedes price would be based on what the car costs. Plus, it was available with a 6-litre V12, and that V12, nothing screams big and tough like a small two-door convertible packing an AMG enhanced and from the top cow. So guys, we need to know what makes up your personal top 5 underrated Mercedes-Benz models list. Let us know in the comments. See you soon.